Hey everyone, welcome to episode 11 of Booze and Brews.
Episode 11.
Yay! This is our seasonal mugs.
It's my favorite time of year. The ceremonious sip. Yeah, so we just got these mugs. I don't know if you guys, where you're listening, I'll have Aldi's near you, but we have a grocery store called Aldi's, and it has a seasonal aisle, which I call the fun aisle.
I think a lot of people actually call it the fun aisle.
It's the fun aisle because there's just stuff on the fun aisle that you're not, I don't know.
Expecting to
Yeah, it's not expected. And it's just like, oh, I could totally use that when you don't need any of it. But you do. You need it when you see it. And anyway, so in our last trip to Aldi's, these were on the fun aisle. And I was like, oh,
yes.
I felt like we weren't really finding a lot in the fun aisle. And it almost feels like, I don't know, like I was being let down.
Yeah.
Because I need something. Like it's like Aldi's addiction, right? I need something. Like I gotta get something fun from the fun aisle, and there was nothing. And I was like, oh,
at least want something. Even if you don't get it, you want something.
Yeah.
So when you're like feeling like there's nothing that you want, it's a little bit like, oh no, the fun aisle.
Yes, don't want to be let down. Anyway, so these were our fun aisle purchases, and I'm like, oh well, we need these obviously to show you all in our podcast. So here we are. But yeah, October, fall, definitely my favorite time of year. We were just discussing
this. And when I was younger, I used to love summertime. I still love summertime. But that was definitely my favorite time. And over the years, as I've gotten older, I definitely think that fall is definitely moved into the top spot. The crisp weather sometimes, the really pretty colors that you see, football, that's the big one. So I think that fall is actually my favorite season also now.
Yeah. For me, it's a lot. It's just
to see all the seasons.
Well, yeah, we do. I love pumpkins. I don't really have a rhyme or reason as to why I love pumpkins, but I do. And also, orange is my favorite color. But I love Halloween. I like it. I like the spookiness. I like all of it. And it has really nothing to do with being a medium, except maybe it does. I really don't know. My shirt's about Salem today. So I really don't know. I mean, maybe in my past life in Salem, I don't know. In any case, it doesn't really, in my mind, have a lot to do with being a medium yet. There's that obvious connection there. The veil is thin in October, so messages do come through fairly easily, and it's a nice time of year. So, and I was going to mention something else about the fall that Halloween. I really enjoy Halloween because I think I've mentioned before on this podcast, and if you follow my post, you know, like I had a kind of a tumultuous tripping over there. Childhood, right? So Halloween was a holiday without a lot of obligation. Like there was not like a lot of there's not a lot of family stuff going on with Halloween. So it was a holiday without all of that drama that would come with it. And you could dress up and be anything you wanted, anything at all. And I thought that was super cool. Yeah, so anyway, I still dress up for Halloween. And I just relive it through my kid. So, who, I force into the holiday. No, he likes it. He has fun. But he's gonna like it. You gotta like it. Anyway. So, he's very creative with his costumes. So I'm always I think that's super fun that he gets into it. Okay, so today wanted to talk about pet grief, but from a different perspective. I was gonna do this as a post. And then there was just so many layers to it that I thought maybe not a post. Maybe it's better as a podcast unless I make it like a 20-part post. So in between our podcast, if you follow the Aspire Intuition page, I do more like a blogging, but it's like a short blog. It's a post, right? I mean, it's whatever. Anyway, it has substance.
It's a pog.
It's a pog.
Post on a blog.
Maybe we just invented something new.
Or a boast. Maybe you're boasting.
No, not boasting.
Hashtag boasting.
Maybe. Anyway, so I try to post some things of substance a couple of times a week and answer questions that come through or channel messages that happen. But yeah, so this came through last week and I thought, I'll do the post about this. And I thought, no, I think this is a better podcast. So we talked about pet grief in another episode, and we got some really great feedback from that episode where we were crying and just all kinds of awful.
Having grief.
Having grief.
For sure.
But I wanted to talk about it from an animal perspective, grief, in this episode. And I'm referring to the animals that are left behind. So not the ones that are passing. Well, I'll talk a little bit about the ones that are passing, but the ones that are left behind in a situation where someone or another pet has passed. And this transpired for me, this whole line of thinking, because I did a reading this past week for a client whose grandmother had passed away, and she and the dog lived with her grandmother. They were taking care of her grandmother as she was aging, and the grandmother's passed away. And it's been a couple, I don't know, weeks. I don't even think it's been months. But they've noticed that the dog's really struggling. The dog's really struggling with grief, and they've been trying to explain what has happened in their own words, and I think it's, people don't know, do they understand? Do they not understand? Like what is transpired for them? Like what's going on for them? So I talked to that animal and we made a lot of headway, but I wanted to talk to you guys about it too and kind of share the different perspectives that have come through for me, because it's not the same, and it's not the same for every pet. And I don't know why people think it's going to be like the same all the time, because it's not the same for individuals. Like we don't view things the same way. So the animals don't view things the same way either. So it's very individualized. I think there's general principles, but it's not like, oh, every pet and every person, everyone believes the same thing. Like, no, they don't. So it can definitely be different depending on what's going on and what the situation is. So the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is pets that are dying. So pets that are in the last stage of their lives. I have kind of coined calling it the hospice stage, because I feel like it sounds nicer, just like with people, right? They go into like a hospice stage, and we're making them comfortable. And people, I all the time, of course, have readings in helping with this transition process and helping the person understand how to make the pet feel comfortable and so forth and so on. The thing about exiting, and this is true for people and pets, the exit points are known. So the pet is going to exit because it is part of their contract to exit, just like people exit. Now, there are points along the way where we can choose to exit early. I don't know if it's even early, but we can choose to exit or we can choose to not exit. But you don't always have to exit, obviously. Once you exit, you're not coming back into this lifetime. So if you pass by an exit point, then you would go to the next exit point. But these are in the contract, is like you can exit at certain points. So it's not really, I guess it's, what I want to say is that it's predetermined, it's predestined as to when a pet is going to exit, and often how they're going to exit. And it plays into a larger role, and it's really hard for people who go through traumatic passings, and we just had that last week as well, with their pets, because it makes you like question like the rhyme or reason, like why did you have to leave in this dramatic fashion. But I often get questions about pets who are ill, and they have maybe have been chronically ill for a long time, and the owner didn't know, and then all of a sudden the illness is just prevalent and it's there, and there's all this guilt of like, I didn't catch it, I didn't see it, why didn't I see it, like I could have treated this. And the reality is that a lot of times your pets don't want you to see it. They don't want you to treat it. They don't want you to do anything about it. And there's a multitude of reasons for that. One, because I've had more than one, believe it or not, they understand our world, and they'll say, I don't want you to go broke financing chemo or financing a treatment for this condition. I don't want that for you. It's going to be too hard. Some pets choose to exit very quickly because they know a long-term illness would really stress their people out beyond belief. Like it would just cripple them. So in that instance, a quicker exit, they understand, is better for their person. A lot of times, like, they're trying to spare us something in their passing. So what I have noticed is that as animals progress towards passing, I'm not talking about traumatic passing, I'm talking about they're ill, we know they're sick, we know they're in hospice, we know they're going to pass. There becomes an understanding of that they're going to die. They do seem to understand that, yes, my body is wearing out. This body I have is no longer serving me. My soul will go on. And I feel like that is information that is given to them as they get close to that time period. I kind of think it works like that for people too. I think that we just talk about it a lot earlier with people, so we probably, have that information before it seems like the pets do. So, but I do think they become, I'm going to say, wise in their idea of, I know I'm going to pass and it's going to be okay. My soul is going to move on. I know I'm not going to be in this uncomfortable place for a really long time. And just an understanding of the body itself has served its purpose. It's not working anymore, and it's going to fall away. I don't think that they are necessarily born with that understanding, though, that this is how it goes. I think, again, it's something that as they enter into this phase, they start to have an understanding about it. And in saying that, like the pet that I just talked to this past week, whose person had passed away, there's confusion on what has happened because the person was removed from the home. The grandmother had fallen and she was now in the hospital. So she didn't pass away at home where the dog was. So then it becomes a question of like, well, what happened? Where did she go? Is she really gone? Is she really on the other side? And that's something that often we really do have to kind of explain to them. Now, if the owner passes with the animal, I do think that there's a fairly clear understanding that, like, they see the soul go. They understand that it's gone. They see the soul exit. They want to be with their person when they pass away. Those videos that you see of, like, animals lying with their people, like, I think that that's very much their connection. So, like, I understand this process and I'm going to grieve and I'm going to watch the soul exit. I have seen that a lot of times with animals, when other animals in the home are euthanized, people ask a lot, like, I feel like our standard practice is often that the sick animal goes to the vet, the other animals stay at home, and then you come home without the pet. And that tends to cause a little confusion on the animals who are home. While super hard, perhaps, I have found that my animals seem to respond, I don't know if better is the right word because it's like arbitrary, right? They seem to understand more of the process when a vet comes into the home and does a euthanasia at home for the sick pet, or the pets go with us to the animal hospital and they're able to be like a part of this, like the family is, because they feel like they're like kind of like left out. They're like, I don't, what happened? Where did you go? Where did my friend go? Like, where did my sibling go?
Not coming back?
Why are they not here? Because they can watch that process of the soul exiting. So what also was confusing for this one particular case is that it was, I kind of chuckled because I didn't know before I started to do the reading, but I said right away, well, it's really confusing to your dog because your grandmother is still visiting. So she's still there. And I said, especially at night, it seems that she's making trips from the bedroom to the bathroom. And the woman chuckled and she said, oh my God, I knew it. I've even called out in the middle of the night, Grandma, go to bed, you're lost. Because, she just knows. She's like, I thought I was hearing her. It was the footsteps that I've heard forever, and I'm still hearing them. And she thought, she's like, is she really here? I said, she is really there. And I said, that's why your dog is up at night, because your dog's following her around. Your dog's following her from the bedroom to the bathroom, and like, oh, there you are. I thought you were gone. I'm kind of confused, because they can see the other side much more clearly than we can. Like, the veil for them is always fairly thin, so they can see the other side a little clearer. but that's confusing, right? Because like grandma's not there during the day like she's supposed to be, or maybe she is, but so she's here sometimes, she's not here all the time. It's different. You're not touching me, we're not interacting in that way, but I still know that you're here, and your presence is still here. So again, explaining to the pet, like, it's pretty awesome that you can still have that experience and still see her, but she's not here in physical form, and you are here in physical form. So I'm letting them understand the distinction of that. But do pets grieve the loss of people? Absolutely. They absolutely grieve the loss of people. And they grieve the loss of their other pets when they pass away.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that something that I'm kind of hearing when you're talking about this is just the ability to communicate with your animals. It's really imperative. They understand almost everything of what you're saying. And telling them what's happening, what might happen, getting them kind of ready, just kind of giving them some details, I think kind of goes a long way as for them to understand.
Yeah, I mean, it would be like not telling a 5 or 6 year old that someone they've lived with forever is gone. Like they understand, like 5 or 6, like you understand enough to know that where is this, like to understand the concept of death, right? So that's where they are. That's about where they operate. So yeah, having that ability to explain to them what's going on, or having someone like me help you out with that is really, really helpful, because they do grieve, and they grieve hard, and they get depressed, and their habits change, and they may pace, and you know, and I get the question of like, well, what can I do to make them feel better? And of course, it's the same as it is with people. It's just by love, by time, by talking to them, by spending that extra time with them, by communicating with them. Now, I would chuckle because the dog I was talking to said, is there anything we could do to make you feel better? And he sighed very audibly in my head and said, well, cheese puffs might help. So, it was a fun sense of humor of like really nothing, right? Like there's nothing we can do, but snacks are awesome. Like
yeah. I wouldn't turn down the snacks.
Wouldn't turn down some snacks. Which I thought was super funny, and of course she did too, because her grandma, what else did her grandma feed her but cheese puffs? So it all went together very nicely. So yes, our pets do grieve people. They also grieve their other pet siblings, friends, whatever, however you refer to them in your home. And I've also seen this on various degrees and levels as well. My dog Blaze, it was until I had this communication with her, I just assumed that she understood that pets died. I don't know. I assumed. Like I think I wrongly.
Death.
Yeah,
I don't know if she really understood death really at all. I think she more people.
Yeah,
she hadn't been in that.
Right, she hadn't experienced anyone passing at all, and I don't know. I just assumed that she understood, right? Like that. I don't know why I assumed she did, but our pet, our other dog Drake had passed away, and I assumed that she understood, because my other dog Breaker very much understood what happened to Drake, and that Drake had passed away. Drake passed away at home, with all of us there. So. But what happened afterwards is that Blaze became very confused, and I feel like just very upset and confused and didn't understand, and which I didn't understand, and I kind of had to back it up, right? Because this was truly the first time I had experienced an animal not really knowing what death was. I was like, they all just know what it is. I think that she could see the other side. I think she could see other animals that I have had in my lifetime come and visit me and visit the home. But to her, they have always been on the other side. She didn't know them in physical form at all. So they're always spirit dogs. There's always spirit dogs in the house, and there's always real dogs in the house. But she's never seen one cross. So when Drake crossed, she was just beside herself. Like she didn't understand like how he was there, and how she couldn't play with him, like be with him. See, it was very interesting conversation with her, and she's not a puppy. Like she was 8-ish maybe when he passed.
7.
7 or 8. So, I mean,
You had her from...
I've had her since she was a puppy. So, you know, I mean, good for her that she's not had this experience yet. But I really had to explain to her that he wasn't here in physical form anymore, and that we all are going to pass away. All the pets, all the people, we will eventually all pass away and go on the other side where Drake is. And I feel like she took it really hard, and in a different way than my other dog Breaker took it, because Drake and Breaker were buddies. It's funny because in my head when I communicate with them, Breaker very much refers to Drake as his bro. You know, he always said like, "Hey, bro," and they laid together a lot. Neither one of them were dogs that really did that with other dogs, like cuddled like that, but they cuddled together, and truly for months after Drake passed, Breaker would lay in the exact spot where Drake always laid. Like that was always Drake's spot. But I knew that was Breaker grieving. He would separate himself quite often, and he would lay in that spot, and I could just see a grief, like a depression in him that I hadn't seen before. So, and it was interesting because we only had Drake for 4 years, and I had Breaker before and after Drake. So Drake's entire life and existence with us, Breaker has been there for all of it. But he was clearly very attached to him. So, yeah, so it's really interesting that they definitely grieve. They grieve each other. They grieve the loss of their friend, you know. And then people ask me like, well, did the pets on the other side, do they want me to get another pet? Usually they do. They want you to move on. They want you to share that love with another pet. Oftentimes they talk about reincarnating. So when you set up those walls of like, I'm never doing this again, there's a chance that you might never adopt your own pet again. Although the universe says to that, we'll make it happen. We'll break down those barriers and get them back to you if they need to be back to you.
And I think sometimes other circumstances come into play too. You know, depending on the animal, depending on what's happening or what you're seeing, what you're witnessing. Like you might find yourself doing things that you weren't expecting to do in terms of getting another animal. You know, like a lot of people feel like there's a period of time that they should wait until they get another animal, and that's maybe true for some, and then some need some other animal to kind of like get them moving again. I mean, I've had it a couple different ways for after a passing of a pet that left another sibling in the home still. And you know, when my first dog ever, Shadow, when he passed away, we had Trooper. Probably, gosh, what do you think? Like 8 weeks. He probably was.
He was such a little.
He was a
little baby,
little guy.
He was so stinking cute.
His whole life he was with Shadow, and when Shadow passed, he went into a depression. Like I was not really expecting it. That was my first dog myself, so I had not experienced the passing of a pet. So when Shadow passed and Trooper was beyond melancholy, wouldn't eat, wouldn't get off the couch. Like he would go outside, bathroom, and come in and lay down and did nothing, didn't play, didn't eat. And you know, obviously that can't continue. And Cheryl thought perhaps, you know, like maybe he needs a friend. He needs somebody to like
snap him out of it a little bit. Yeah.
And you know, he wasn't always one to get along with other dogs. Obviously Shadow had been there the whole time he was there, so it was different. So I definitely was like, okay, I'm like, we're gonna go for a female because, you know, it seems to make more sense. And we tried a couple different females, like introducing, and Trooper just would sit and wasn't aggressive, which I was happy for, but I was a little surprised. Wasn't aggressive, just kind of sat, turned his back to them, and just looked away. And you know, his way of saying that that's not the one for me. And somehow we ended up with a male puppy, which is who Trooper responded to. Mm-hmm. And that's, you know, that's something.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I've had like a rotating dog train for a long time. So, I mean, I feel like there's never really an empty, I'm never really down to one dog. before someone else is knocking on my door and in there. But someone always manages to come on in. So, but I do notice that they definitely look for the pet that has passed. They are very connected to them, even if you feel like, oh, they weren't very bonded to them, or they still understand. They understand that, that they're not there anymore, and they grieve that animal. And another thing that's very interesting, and this is something that all of my pets have responded to. I usually have an animal cremated, and I have ashes that I bring home, and I allow the living pets to visit with the ashes that come home of the deceased pet, and they always respond to the ashes. I always think, like, no way, is this for real? Is this gonna help them? Is it? And every single time I've had at least one dog lay on them. Like, just, I'll take them out, I kind of sit them, I not unsupervised, because I don't need that, of course, but sit with them, sit on the floor with them. I put the ashes on the floor, and without a doubt, at least one of my dogs will lay on top of the ashes, and they always sniff them, and they always rub on them. So the scent is absolutely there. It does travel with them. They understand that, and I try to have that conversation with them then, just like I would a child. Like, this is what happens, this is the transition, and now they're home again in a different form, and they're going to stay here with us. But I do think that it's helpful. I do think that it provides them some type of clarity, closure, to have that opportunity to understand that, like, okay, I smell them and they are here and that they're back, just in a very different way. So it's very interesting, and so, like I said, there's all these different stages as animals themselves understand that they're passing. If they're sick, yes, often I feel like that information is channeled to them, that this is what's going to happen. You're going to cross over, and they are okay with it. They want us to be okay with it, that they're transitioning. And like I said, a lot of times they hold on to those symptoms and don't share them with us because they don't want us to be upset. But I don't think that's a knowledge that I don't think they have it from puppyhood or kittenhood or whatever it is. They don't come in knowing immediately that, oh, someday I'm going to die. Like, no. I think it's information channeled and given to them as life goes on. But as they get close to that passing period, they understand. But they don't always understand what's happening with us, and when their people pass. It is really hard. I've had a lot of cases where people have passed and the animals end up in a rescue or in a shelter and then readopted, because no one in the home or family could keep that animal. It's extremely hard on that pet, and I think that if you know that you are adopting a pet from a situation where their owner has passed away, it's something to be very sensitive to, and to understand that they had a completely different routine, a very loving home, a person they were super connected to, and like their whole world is just upside down, like completely upside down, and understanding not only the new rules, the new routine of what you're introducing to them, the new love that they're receiving, but also still grieving the person that they lost. Because there's nothing like, I feel like, losing a person and then feeling like you've been locked in jail in a shelter, and then trying to figure out, like, what am I supposed to be doing now? And I do get a lot of questions from pets, fear of losing another owner, like, is this person going to, and trying to help them understand things like that if there's more than one person sick in the home. So, which leads me to another point that I wasn't going to talk about. Having a transition plan for your pets is really important. I'm not going to say especially if you have a lot of pets. If you have any pets, people think, oh, it's no big deal. It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal in the animals that you're leaving behind. Please, if you can identify someone to take your animals, it's really important. It's just really important that because you can communicate that to them early as well. Like, if something happens to me, you would do that with a kid too, right? Like, if something happens to me, you're going to go, stay with your aunt, or you're going to go stay with your grandparents, or whatever it would be, because these are questions that little minds have questions about. Like, well, what happens then? What happens then? your pets are the same way. So having a transition plan is really important.
Definitely important.
Really important. And that's one of the things that as a rescue, working in rescue and volunteering in rescue, we do look at is older, and I mean, of course, death can happen at any age, but older individuals adopting young animals, it can be tricky. And we often ask, like, do you have a transition plan? Because there's a chance that your pet might outlive you, and we need to know, like, what are your thoughts? Like, what do you plan to do if this happens, or hope that other people do when this happens? Yeah,
for sure. For sure, it's definitely important. I for sure have a plan.
As I have a plan. She's my plan.
She's my plan. So, you know, but there's going to be instances, obviously, that, you know, your plan, you know, have a backup to your plan. You know, like.
Yeah,
you never know.
Like,
so
for me, I've tried to, you know, say, like, something happens, like, I'd want Lynn to take my dogs. I'd also prefer my dogs not to be separated from each other. Like, I don't, like, because that's more grief, right?
Yeah,
like,
there's
usually a lot of dogs. So. Always a house full of dogs.
Donate to our fund for a compound. We need all the dogs.
I need all the dogs, I guess. So I hope that kind of, like, I hope it answers some questions about pets and how they have their own grieving process, and how you will definitely see symptoms of them grieving if someone has passed away that's normally in the home that they're close to. They also grieve divorce as well, especially if they don't really understand, like, what happens, or you have kids. So let's say that person now comes to your home every other week and takes the kids, and then they leave again, and then they drop the kids off. Like, they're just like, wait, what? Like, where are you going? Like, why?
Like, I want to go.
Yeah, and so explaining things like that. Now, I mean, there are cases where divorces are not nice, and the other and the animal's like, whew, glad that's over, just like you are, glad that's over. But often, you know, it's not like that, and they just don't know in a breakup, in a divorce, like what happened to that other person. They just kind of fall off. So communicate what's going on and what's happening is really important. So yeah. Any other thoughts on that topic?
I mean, probably as soon as we stop, we'll have a thought.
And I'll be like, sure. Oh, should have mentioned this.
If you have a thought, though, put it in the comments, and if it's something that we can obviously always reply to. But yeah, there's.
Yeah, I do think it's a complicated conversation and topic, and there's not one size fits all. Not every pet understands that they're going to die. Not every pet understands that they're with might die. So, or what it looks like when they do, or what that grief is how it's going to impact their life. And we don't know either until it happens. So, but, you know, if anybody needs help with any topics like that, please feel free to reach out and set up a session for your animal, and we can try to help you through it. Yeah. All right.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Have a good one. Next time.